Mataki AP. I'm Bradley Hoff, a member of the Oglala Lakota Oyate, the Oglala Sioux tribe, and a member of Presiding Bishop Curry's staff. I'm the Indigenous Missioner for the Episcopal Church, and I'm here to talk to you for a couple of minutes about land acknowledgements, calling upon dioceses in the Church to begin an audit of the Indigenous lands, historic homes to Indigenous tribes that diocesan properties currently occupy, to establish, if possible, a relationship with tribal people who are in the area where their churches and dioceses are, and to begin liturgies and land acknowledgements as a part of meetings and church gatherings and worship services. Now, this may seem like a tall order, and it is something that's new that the church is starting to implement, although a number of dioceses have gotten a head start on it in recent years. But I want to speak to the whole topic of land acknowledgements because there seems to be some controversy and lack of clarity regarding them. If people see land acknowledgements as doing nothing other than saying, yes, there was an Indigenous tribe that used to live here but doesn't live here anymore, and that's it, well, there's not much point to doing that. Land acknowledgements are intended to lead to something more, something else. They are a starting point, not a point in and of itself, a fait accompli. What they are intended to do is to get people to thinking about Indigenous people in general and who used to live on the land that their diocesan properties currently occupy. And the tribal people might still be there in the region. It is terribly important to do this because for Indigenous people, probably the worst thing that can happen to us is for nobody to talk about us, nobody to acknowledge us, to completely forget about us, because when that happens, then we are finished. We are a thing of the past and not the present. And that is just not the case. Currently, there are over 6 million Indigenous people in the United States. And the United States and its Episcopal Church have had a relationship going all the way back to the 19th century, and my office has existed since 1954. So there are a good number of Indigenous Episcopalians who are among our brothers and sisters in the body of Christ and in the Episcopal Church. Our history, what happened to us, the processes of assimilation and land displacement need to be acknowledged, not forgotten. And the church is an excellent place, an excellent venue for starting these conversations. And that's what land acknowledgements are intended to be, as a conversation starter. And I believe the church really has to take the lead on that because we are about reconciliation, are we not? So there is going to be an historically based mistrust that Indigenous people are going to have of the church. We have to understand that. That's a natural consequence of what has happened. My office exists to help dioceses in this work, and I'm very pleased to be able to say that there are a number of dioceses across the church that have already begun and are well into this work. And the Diocese of Southern Virginia is one of them. I'm very pleased with the progress that you've made toward acknowledging Indigenous tribal people in your area, reaching out to them to establish a relationship, if at all possible. This is an interesting time for us in the church with Indigenous relations. We are finally acknowledging some of the things that we've done as a church for going all the way back to the processes of child removal that began in the early 19th century. It is not easy for us to admit wrongdoing, so we need to come to terms with our history as a people. I believe that's what the Spirit is calling us to do. I believe it's what Jesus would have us do. I believe it's the right thing to do. And so I'm grateful to the Diocese of Southern Virginia, and I call on all dioceses in the Episcopal Church to join together in this work as we move forward as relatives of one another. Matakwasi, all my relatives. God bless you.